For those of you joining us online for the consent agenda, we're just waiting for our landscape architect to get here. We'll start in a few minutes.
Yeah. So we're here to listen to the consent agenda for today's Montecito Board of Architecture review, March 5th, 2026. Item C1, 1492 East Mountain Drive. I saw Mark Kirkard on there, at least the name. I don't know if, Mark, are you there? You're muted, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Here I am. Yep.
I did a review of it quickly. Rob is just kind of getting set up. I did have one question, Mark. I'm sure you figured it out, but I was looking at the garage that's up on that upper area there, and looks really tight for maneuvering in terms of the garage. Is that going to be golf carts and things like that, or that's the main garage, isn't it? Getting up in there, is there
Oh
enough
yeah, that's
room to back out? I guess.
yeah,
Question.
yeah, yes, yeah. We've got enough room. We've put the templates on it, and we're satisfied that there's enough room to maneuver.
Okay. Okay. Very good. There was, did you have a chance to review that, Rob, the drawings? I think the questions that we had were
What are we
having to do with
specifically looking at? What are the issues at this point?
well, the last motion was some palm trees to be removed and landscaping in the motor court and the landscaping in the pool. Remember, we went and did a site visit out there in the pool.
Right.
The front of the pool, somebody was concerned about having enough landscaping on it. So David, if when he gets back, he can kind of scroll to that drawing for us.
I
And we
don't
have and we have
know what
Scott
the
Caps here, our landscape architect too.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm here for any questions.
Okay.
one of the issues was the reality of how you were going to be able to construct that pool from above, which was the way it was presented, and there was some concern whether the reality of construction would allow for that because of the I don't remember the specific details, but I know that was kind of what was discussed with John Watson and I at the time.
Well, the house is coming down, right? I mean,
The
No.
house is coming down. Yeah. The existing house is coming down.
Yeah,
It's all new. The new
So,
house, the new house is more or less sited very similarly to the existing house,
Yeah.
but it's coming down. We're starting from scratch. You know, the
but
contractor,
what
we're
was,
working with Daryl, we're working with Daryl Becker on this, and he hasn't expressed any concerns about being able to construct that pool from above.
yeah, that's what was promised. So I think that was important because that if you don't do that, then then that's going to be kind of an open scar for a while before that all kind of
Yeah,
fills in.
yeah.
So that was kind of a
No,
big deal.
yeah.
Um,
Rob, nobody wants that to be an open scar, including my client. So we'll go to whatever lengths we have to be able to do that and maintain all that landscaping below the pool, the existing
okay.
trees and everything.
And then the only thing that for me personally, and this is maybe just a design thing, was I guess I didn't understand why that some of the landscape areas up against the building in the kind of the corner between the dining room and the guest room on that wing, why that had the potential to be fattened up a lot more, and what was the thinking on that of not doing that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I was gonna say
go
we
ahead.
looked at those areas, Rob. We studied that with the design team, making them maybe potentially a little bit more organic out there. I hear you. I think in the end we liked it, kind of the more orthogonal geometry. It really played off the clean lines of the architecture. We also like kind of the grand nature of that gravel motor court as you pulled up and just having kind of a clean approach to the house. That was very much
Right.
a client's desire. I hear you. We are still able to, with the planter width we have, going to be able to get some nice layering in there. So we did look at it, but ultimately we're going with what we have in the plan right now.
Okay.
Did you have any other concerns,
No.
Rob?
No.
Okay. Would you be okay to present a motion to
Sure.
give final approval? Okay, well, we'll, back when we adjourn for the main meeting, we'll go ahead and grant this one final approval on consent.
Great. Thanks.
Okay.
You guys, Bill, you looked over the plans. You were happy with the detailing and everything,
Yeah, it
obviously.
looked great. Really a beautiful set of drawings. Thank you for the thoroughness, as always, with the drawing set. Really appreciate that. Definitely.
Okay. You're making it easy on us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can
Both of
think
you.
of something if you want to make it hard.
No, no.
Easy, Mark.
How about a comment on that we're going to be doing the stone as a German schmear style, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Oh, okay.
Are you
Very
familiar
good.
with that? Are you familiar with
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds great. That'll be
Yeah.
really beautiful, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
That's
you
it.
very much.
We're good.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you, David, also.
Yeah.
You want to hear a funny story?
Okay, I have a couple minutes. I'm supposed to be on MBAR at 1, but what's up?
Is it your concept or mountain?
Yeah, I'm in the back. But what's up?
Oh, actually physically there?
No, I'm in the back unit.
Sean Billings and Michael been to this meeting. Apparently, Nick told Viv that like the cabinets came out wrong and it was all Michael asked for it. And Michael, like, Viv in front of me asked Michael, he's like, "What? No, I've never even seen these drawings in my life."
So Nick's calling you out.
At the Montecito Board of Architecture review
I go.
agenda meeting for March 5th, 2026. First item is public comment. I have a John Emmanuel request to speak. So John, if you want to come up and
Put this briefly that, in fact, in this particular case, I've observed a great many of your meetings, both on television as well as actually attending the meetings. You guys spend a lot of time, energy, and effort to basically comply with your mandate, which is to say to have uniformity in terms of not having crazy stuff go up in neighborhoods that is incompatible, to basically get input of neighbors so as they're not going to be adversely affected, and then to consider the aesthetic and other qualities of prospective applications. A great deal of money and time is spent both on the part of applicants and on your behalf as well, and you guys are very serious. Problem is, however, that in some instances you have the tail wagging the dog, in this case the tail being a planner in planning and zoning. What may happen may be either purposefully or simply not. An individual applicant will make modifications to an existing approved plan. We'll go to a planner and we'll ask for modifications to be accepted. In some instances, the planner may or may not then come back to an individual or individuals at the MBAR to see if, in fact, the modification comports with the general tone and spirit of what the MBAR had originally approved. But the planner is not necessarily mandated to do that. More importantly, not only is the planner not mandated to do that, but the planner may not know the reasons or the rationale why the MBAR originally approved a certain kind of material and fascia, if you want to call it that. In my particular case, and I'm going to just simply say this is not, I'm not making the appeal in my particular case, but in my particular case, a neighbor 7 years later has now applied for a completely new and different kind of roof, a metal roof, which has 26% reflectivity. Had I not individually gotten wind of this development, the planner would have approved that change without necessarily coming to anyone in the MBAR to find out whether, in fact, that generally comports with what had been approved. My particular case 7 years ago, the entire MBAR came on my property and observed that putting a metallic reflective roof on the property right next door, which abuts me by 5 feet away, would have been deleterious, and therefore a different roof was proposed and approved. Nevertheless, had I not gone in and spoken with Kimberly and Jordan in planning, the roof that was proposed by the applicant, new applicant, 7 years after the original MBAR approval, would have possibly gone through. What I'm calling to your attention is that currently, absent an individual owner who is going to be impacted negatively by a change in materials, composition, or whatever, if an individual does not come and go into planning and zoning and say, what's going on? There is no current methodology in place in planning and zoning, absent that complaint, to actually verify that what the MBAR approved was actually what is being proposed and is being built. It is this that I wish that you guys, and I ask you guys to possibly join me. I'm going to be meeting with county execs tomorrow, and I'll be pursuing this later on with the Board of Soups. But clearly, I would think from the MBAR's perspective, where you spend so much time, energy, and serious effort to work with planners and builders and landscape architects to devise something that makes sense, that comports with everyone's needs, including neighbors, and to have a planner who in fact may or may not know the rationale and the factors that went into that decision-making process, not necessarily check back and verify when there is a variance, absent a complaint raised by a neighbor, I think indicates a woeful deficiency currently existing. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else that has comments? Public comment?
General public comment, there's no one online, and seeing no one rise, I think that Mr. Emmanuel was our only speaker for general public comment.
I guess let's move forward to agenda status report. What is, we've got a change.
We do have one change. I did note it specifically on the agenda because I knew in advance it was going to happen. So item number 3, we do have to renotice that one. So it'll pop up on your agenda for next time on the 19th. So that's the only change. That item will be essentially moved to the 19th.
We need to make a motion of any sort to do that.
You know, we should be
It's
consistent.
not on yet. It's about to go on.
If you're not actively, we're not actively reviewing your project, if you could mute your mic, that would be fantastic. Thank you. So let's just go ahead and do it.
Okay. So can I get someone to make a motion to continue item number 3 to March 19th?
So moved.
Second? Anybody? Okay, Tom seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, let's go back to minutes. We have unapproved minutes from February 19th, 2026, our last meeting. Did anyone have any comments on any of those items? Anybody have anything? Okay, nothing? Okay, Dave will recuse himself. So seeing that we have none, I guess we can approve the minutes of February 19th, 2026 as submitted.
Good job, Kimberly.
Yeah, way to go.
I could have a motion for that.
Second?
A second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks. Motion passes 5-0-1. Thank you.
Any members' informational briefings? Anybody have anything, do anything, go anywhere? Okay,
I didn't, but I have one question. Is it possible for staff to let us know the process the public speaker just mentioned? What the process is if a applicant comes into the planning department with revisions to an approved MBAR project, how that's.
Sure. I mean, maybe Kimberly can cover that during staff update. So essentially, what he was describing was the exemption process. So I'm sure you've been chair of MBAR before. You may have been, those requests were probably sent to you during that time. Specifically, we don't have the item that Mr. Manuel was referring to on the agenda, so we can only speak in generalities and keep it pretty brief.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the general process is. Or does staff always come to MBAR with those revisions, or is it really discretionary on the planner? And don't have to answer it now, but if they could provide that answer so I could better understand what the process is. My experience as a chair was those came to us and the chair would review it. And if the changes were significant, then we'd go for the full board. And, but it would just be good to know if that's absolutely the process or if there is discretionary.
Happy to answer that now or wait till staff update.
Why don't you go ahead, Kimberly, and discuss it now because we're on staff update anyway, so.
Excuse me. So the process for revisions is that the planner, if the original planner is still available, planner review.
Can you move closer to your mic? We're having the same issues as last meeting, I think.
What's going on with my mics these days? Let me see if I can change up here. Okay, any
That's better.
Better? Okay, perfect.
Better,
The original planner, if available, will review any proposed revisions to determine if they are minor in nature and the revision will not substantially affect the project as a whole. If that original planner is not there, then it typically goes to another assigned planner or supervising planner. If planner is not the original planner, they will review past BAR minutes, the record, the file, look to see if there are any triggers or anything that would be of concern. If there's any question about aesthetic or appearance or design issues, the planner will exercise their discretion to reach out to the chair of the Board of Architectural Review and request their input. Utilizing all that information and research, the planner will make a decision as to whether or not the revision is small and the project will still substantially conform to the original approval. If it does, the revision is processed, not going back to Board of Architectural Review formally, no new permit. If the revision is deemed to be significant, then the planner will direct the applicant to reapply for a new permit and they will be required to go through a new Board of Architectural Review round. Is that clear?
Yes, thanks. That's very clear.
I think I would note too that if the chair decided as well that the decision that was for him to make by himself was too much, that he would potentially decide to bring it to the full board as well. So
A good example that happened recently with the project on Periwinkle that had a lot of history to it. I believe Mr. Watson was sent that as a possible exemption and had decided to refer that to the full board.
Yeah.
So that's a good example of that happening.
thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate it.
This decision quickly or without thought, and there's quite a bit of research and background that is done. Do we get it perfect all the time? No, but generally I would think that staff has a pretty good track record of analyzing and reviewing projects for consistency.
Great, thank you. Was there any more staff update from your end, David, or?
I just wanted to note that I'll miss next meeting, and so my staff member Jonathan Martin will cover. You'll be in good hands.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we're on Montecito consent agenda, which we had at 12:45. Item C1, 1492 East Mountain Drive. Rob and I reviewed it and determined that it was complete and ready for final approval. So I'll make the motion to grant final approval. It doesn't need public comment because it was on consent. So, and would you second that?
Yes, but I do want to add that the approval's based on the notion that the construction of the pool is to be done from the top and that it doesn't happen from Mountain Drive. And so if that in the process of construction, that changes, then that's an issue that we're concerned about. And so then maybe it needs to come back at that point and discuss, because that was kind of a big deal, if we recall, when we went to the site. So I wanted to make sure that that was in the record or in the motion somehow.
Okay. So we'll make a motion for final approval with Rob's comment that the East Mountain Drive frontage in front of the pool landscaping essentially is maintained as it is existing and
Existing landscaping.
and not interfered during construction. Edit it. You want to second that?
Second. Yes, please.
Okay, seconded by Rob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, let's move on to the standard agenda. Item 1, 1831 East Mountain Drive. Do we have applicant here in the audience or online?
Yes, online. This is Sean Lynch with Evoke Design Studio. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Sean.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, everybody. So this project is 1831 East Mountain Drive. So it's right kind of just past where Park Lane splits off to East Mountain, heading over towards San Ysidro Ranch. It's a fairly modest project. The scope is kind of a small first floor addition of about 114 square feet, and that's really reconfiguring the entry. Yeah, as you can see right here, first floor addition. We are converting the existing garage to habitable, and we'll be building a new garage with a revised motor court to be able to take advantage of some flat area to be utilized towards lawn. They have 2 young kids right now. As you'll see when we get to the site plan, a lot of the front yard is driveway and kind of motor court. And the properties actually kind of sit up on a ridge. So off the rear, there is a pool and it kind of slopes. So there's not really usable land from the rear. So yeah, if you want to go to the survey just to start there. East Mountain Drive is on page north. You see the driveway, concrete driveway comes down, and the garage is on kind of the west side there. And as you can see, really beyond the pool, obviously at some point it is either was built up for this pool or it was kind of a natural ridge where they placed that pool. So part of it is kind of reconfiguring the entry into the structure where the additions occur, and then reconfiguring this motor court. So if you want to go to the images on the next sheet. Starting at the bottom right, there's just kind of an aerial here of the property. You're kind of up above East Mountain Drive looking, I guess that's south. And then again, looking from the pool towards East Mountain. The third image from the bottom is looking down towards the property from East Mountain. So the actual property, that finished floor of the house is approximately 6 feet below East Mountain Drive. So we're going to also be proposing a new vehicle gate just to create a little bit more privacy. You will still see down, but they have 2 dogs as well. So it's really just to create a more secure kind of parcel. And then really sort of just a dated house. So part of this application will be to do new doors and windows, interior remodel, and really just kind of refinishing it and kind of reskinning most of the structure. So happy to look at any of these specifically as we go through. If you want to go to the next sheet. Here's the existing site plan. As you can see, the entry is off to the east side. So we're actually going to be reconfiguring it to the north. As you can see, between the existing garage and the kitchen is sort of a natural place for for the entry to go. And then we're going to be converting this garage. I think at one point it was a carport that converted to a garage. The roof heights are actually different levels. So we are going to be actually raising the plate on this garage, essentially rebuilding that garage to have a consistent kind of roof line. And then the only tree we're actually removing at this point is an existing kind of ancient olive. There's multiple along the property. And so we're going to be moving it sort of just to flank the other kind of olive up on the page north there as the kind of driveway comes in. So next sheet, please. So as you can see, it's just loading there. As you come in, we have transportation just provided their comments actually earlier this week. So we will be shifting this driveway gate down slightly to get the 30 feet off of East Mountain Drive, and shifting that relocated oak tree out of the right of way because we would need to provide a street tree. So that's only the real change there. So as you come in, the garage now is on the west side. And so that's really just to create more, as I mentioned, more lawn area on, in kind of in that front west side, and really just to create some flat area for their kids. And then out of that existing garage, we kind of have a sort of a gym slash work area patio. There'll be a small retaining wall. And then really, as you can see, the big move is moving the entry right between that existing garage, and now it's sort of a laundry guest room. And that's to be able to really just focal it. So as you come down, you'll sort of park over on the rounded motor court, and then it's more wayfinding there. And then new kind of 3-car garage. And we broke up the mass of that garage closer to the east side. I might have said west earlier, and I apologize. To the east side there. One, to pull it off of the slope a little bit more, and then one just to sort of break up that mass so it's not a big box mass. The other addition is on where the new entry is, there's a laundry room and the sink. So we kind of wanted to make it a little bit more symmetrical. So small addition in that area. And then where the breakfast nook is, that is off the kitchen is the current entry in. So we've actually just enclosed that area, provided a small patio off to the side. And then I did not mention, but the only other two exterior elements is a new outdoor kind of kitchen area with trellis on the east side of the pool, and then a new kind of outdoor fireplace on the west side with an existing kind of hot tub in that location. So next sheet, please. Again, just floor plan, just to show where the additions are. As you can see, just to quickly, existing entry on the right side. We're going to enclose that. So you can see I dashed in where the new additions will go. I know you don't care too much about the interior program, so if you guys do have any questions, we can go back to that. Next sheet, please. Basement plan, again, sort of new finishes. Next sheet. Oh, did I lose you? Oh, there we go. One change is since we submitted this back in January, we are going to, I think, proceed with a standing seam metal roof. So that is one thing that will change from this application. It was a slate roof. And with our current plan to this existing roof over the garage, as you can see, is lower than the kind of main volume roof. That will be raised, and that wasn't incorporated into this submittal, but it'll just be matching the same roof lines, and you'll see it in the elevation. Next sheet, please. Here's just the existing garage, as I mentioned, sort of just trying to break up that mass, a mix of stucco and wood siding. We're still working through the exact materials and colors, but when we come back, we'll have everything sorted out. So next sheet. Here's the pool deck. Again, just some graphics of elevations of each of those elements, a real simple outdoor fireplace, and then same kind of a really simple outdoor kitchen area with the trellis above. Next sheet, please. So here is, this is the east elevation here. So again, that's where the existing entry was on the north. And again, we're just enclosing that, and it's the breakfast kind of nook pop out. Fireplace stays the same, and then kind of just a small raised patio here that'll be either board form or plaster. Next sheet. This is the west elevation. Not much is happening on this elevation. You can see the garage. Actually, that's not true. The garage on the left side of the bottom proposed. As I mentioned, this roof plane will be moved up so the eaves will match the roof above. So that's the one thing. And we met with our engineer a couple weeks ago, and that was something that we found can be within the budget, and that should just sort of clean up that architecture. It'll be, yeah, exactly matching. It'll have about an interior plate of about 11 feet. So we will be replacing, the decking, the railing, and we'll go with kind of a real simple aluminum or metal kind of vertical picket guardrail. Next sheet, please. And again, this is where that garage on the right-hand side of the bottom of the proposed, that will be raised. We initially had, we started trying to keep it as is and had sort of a kind of a privacy wall block it. It was just a awkward condition as you walked up. You'd look over on top of this roof. So after multiple studies and again meeting with the engineer, we decided that we will raise this this roof up to match the eave of the roof behind it there. So and then again, just the garage and showing you know, same detailing, same roof overhangs. Try to keep the detailing very similar. Next sheet, please. This is the rear elevation, so the south elevation. Again, where, you know, new doors and windows, new railing, and then part of this is removing, there's a small little deck that will be off the three bifolds on the right-hand side with a planter to remove the railing requirement, and then just a little seating area below, and that's an existing olive tree there. Sorry, it didn't get carried through in the, I must have hit it in the existing, but that's an existing olive off the back there. So next sheet. Just some entry perspective. Again, we're trying to create, you know, a little bit more wayfinding. As I mentioned, image O2, that wall on the right-hand side will be removed and it'll just be that roof line will be carried up. And then just sort of looking down, as you can see, the elevation sort of changes from the street down. So and then these two bottom images, I did hide that existing olive tree. As you can see on the left image, it's there just for the sake of viewing these perspectives. Next sheet. Again, just some more perspectives, just to give an idea of sort of, you know, massing and again, you know, beyond the pop out for the breakfast nook, there's really no exterior changes beyond, you know, wide opening the windows a little bit more, you know, providing bigger fenestrations, and then just sort of bringing it a little bit more into a palette that they would like to see it. Next sheet. Again, these are the materials beyond the roof. The roof will change to a standing seam, but this is sort of our initial concept of the material palette that we're looking at. Next sheet, maybe the last.
That's the last sheet.
Yeah, perfect. Then I'm happy to respond to any questions or comments.
All right, thank you, Sean. Let's go to questions of the board. Tom, do you have any questions?
No question.
Stacy, questions?
Yeah, have you taken this plan through fire yet?
Yeah, so I spoke with Bob Galbraith, and I actually spoke with him 2 weeks ago. He was completely fine with all of the exact layout. The existing structure is not sprinklered, but we will be doing enough interior work that it will be fire sprinklered. So the effective hose length will be 300 feet, which he was completely fine with. The gate is 16 feet wide. So no issues at all, and essentially a verbal thumbs up and good to proceed. So we just need to submit to their Viva online portal, and I don't foresee any issues.
They aren't requiring a turnaround
No,
on the interior?
no, because it's only maybe 50 feet. He said no turnout required. I sent him these exact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my questions.
Rob, questions?
How big is that oak, I mean, the olive tree by the, near the front door? What is the size of that? I can't.
Yeah, let me see on the survey here if I have this open. It is a 48-inch olive.
40 inch,
48 inch.
40, 48 inch as in diameter of the trunk?
Yes, I mean I think that's the root system at the bottom. It's probably a 150-year-old tree, or at least 100-year-old tree. So the goal is to relocate it.
The one by the front door, it looks like I thought you were leaving that one.
Sorry, the one that's over near the new garage, the one near the front door is a 60-inch.
Does that have, without seeing that tree, does that have any ability to kind of move or slide? I guess where I'm going with it is, are you okay with that tree kind of completely blocking your site, like you're kind of the center axis of the front door?
Yeah, we're in communication. We have a couple proposals out right now to landscape architects to bring them on board as well. I think we will push it slightly and then potentially add a couple more just on the end of the roundabout, the turnaround, to be able to create a little bit more just visual privacy. But the more we've been kind of analyzing, you can get through and it's not a huge, you still have about clear 4 feet, so it does work, but it does feel compressed. So we are looking at that.
Okay, and yeah, the other thing I think might be fire may come in it too with the limbs being too close to the house. But and then the only other question is, um, there's a there's a conflict on A101 at the pool. You're showing a set of steps to the left coming where the fire the outdoor chimney is, and then on your elevation, I think it's A203. There's no steps. Which is there some? Am I missing something?
Those go down to the basement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can kind of see just where
Yeah.
yeah, they go down and there's another the 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Thank you. I was reading. I thought they were going to the same spot as the other step. So, okay, thank you.
Dave, questions?
Yeah, are you proposing landscaping to screen the view of the new garage and its location from the street?
Yeah, so if you go up to the site plan, which is on, let's see here. What's the best one? Oh, sorry, my iPad froze here. Yeah, keep going up right here. So as you can see where the trash enclosure, we actually have a kind of we're removing that other olive tree where the existing guest parking is. The way I've decided to have this come in is so you're more orientated towards the entry, the new entry, and then that'll be a somewhat raised planter. It'll start, say at 0 up on the other side of the vehicle gate, and then by the time it gets over to the north side of the trash enclosure, it'll be about 4 feet tall, and then that olive tree will go within that to try to screen that. So guess no wayfinding is to go, east or sorry, go west and not towards the garage.
Okay. And what is the height of the pool wall and any site walls? What's the maximum height of those?
The pool walls are existing. So all the pool is existing as is. Let's see.
Okay, then that's,
Yeah. The only
I
thing
didn't realize that. Okay.
the outdoor kitchen area and then that small outdoor. I would say the wall at that outdoor kitchen is probably from finished to new to the where it comes down to grade is maybe 3 feet. So to
Okay.
the top of the wall, I guess top of behind the barbecue, that effective height from the back would be, it's about a 3-4 foot wall, another 3 feet, so 7-8 feet altogether.
Okay, those are my questions.
All right, thank you. Robert, questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, let's open public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to item 1, 1831 East Mountain Drive?
And we have no request online.
Okay, we'll close public comment and we'll go to board members' comments. Tom, what are your thoughts?
I think it works very well. Do we know how close the neighbor is adjacent to the new garage?
They're significantly away. I believe that their garage is on that side as well. Let me see.
Go to 005. It's got a aerial. We could also go to Google Earth, I guess.
A005. You can see. Yeah, there you go. If you go to the bottom right image, if you zoom in that bottom right, you can get a good sense there. So on the left-hand side of that image is the garage will be on the left-hand side. So you can see their motor court comes around. And I believe that's their garage that sticks out towards our property. So it's sort of motor court to motor court. And obviously, as you can see here, it's super dense landscaping, and you really can't even see between property lines.
So I guess that's the thought, is to make sure we have enough screen landscaping on the garage. But otherwise, I think it's a nice plan.
Thank you.
Stacy?
Yeah, I think I can echo Tom. I think it's a nice design. I think it's definitely going in the right direction. I think you already mentioned you have bids out for landscape architects to come on board. And I think once you have that, that'll clear up probably any questions that I might have had. Also to a gate design, I assume you're working on,
There
or
is
was there?
one
Yeah.
on this, I believe the site plan, if you keep going up, it would be a very simple, there you go, right
There it
there.
is. That's right. I did see that. Okay.
Simple wood gate, nothing fancy. We just want to keep it very kind of, rustic, agrarian, very simple.
Okay. All right. I think that you're on your way.
Thank you.
I, for the most part, I agree with the board members in terms of the project being in the right direction. But one thing about Mountain Drive is it's kind of rocky and kind of so what there's a lot of rock outcrops. I'm not sure if that's the case with this site, but with this kind of modern design, I think sometimes there's a chance to kind of ground these kind of designs to the site a little bit better. And there's opportunities to incorporate boulders and flagstone and let kind of some of those modern forms kind of bleed out around the edges and ground it to the site. So, for instance, I think the front walkway feels like it's really forced in that position, and that was a little bit of where I was driving with the location of the olive tree there. And there's a little bit too with and some of this is just basically design preference, but I think there's some opportunities, and maybe that'll, when the landscape architect gets on board, maybe that kind of will help kind of move some of that in the direction of where you have opportunities like the motor court could be a little bit more, again, a little more organic, I think, rather than just a circle. So I guess that's what I would like to see. But again, some of that is just your design preference. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Dave, comments?
Yeah, I think this is a well-conceived design. I like you're improving on what's there architecturally. Setbacks and the heights and everything are not increasing impacts to the neighbors. I can support the 108% FAR based on that. I also like the way that the driveway is configured so that you're not focusing on the garage, but the entry in the house, and would encourage you to do the landscape screening, as Tom mentioned, so that the garage is really screened from both the neighbors and the street. It sounds like the existing probably does a pretty good job of that. But overall, I think it's a good project. I can support the direction. The one question is how the garage, what was formerly the garage, looks when you raise that portion of the structure. It seems to make sense, but I'm curious how it's going to relate to the site. And so that would be the one thing definitely want to hold off approving until the next round. Yeah, I like the project.
All right, thanks, Dave. Robert, comments?
I like the project, and I think it's fine as is. And I mean, we have a planner. I mean, I would think we could come back for prelim and final on consent, or I would move that if everybody agrees.
Is that it? Okay, thanks. I think we would not do consent because the landscape is probably going to need to be early reviewed, I think, by Rob and Stacy. So we'll do that. I too agree with most of the board's comments, and my comment was similar to along Dave's line. Is when you raise that plate on that garage, it's going to be a very tall plate, 11 feet, and just be careful about what you do, windows and doors on that side, and just try to make it look proportionately correct. I'm just sort of giving you that out there. And again, we're all a little gun shy with metal roofs. Let's make sure you get a real flat surface on that material, and look at your gloss units when you're doing that. I think we're going to probably have to try and establish some sort of standard that we'll accept for that reflectivity of the shiny metal roofs. We want to try and stay away from that. So I agree, though, too. I think that we can certainly grant this conceptual approval and have you come back for preliminary and final on not on consent, but full board. Everybody agree with that?
I agree. It's just built, it's slate tile.
No, you're changing it to metal, right, Sean?
Yeah, exactly. And just to note that it'll be we've talked with the clients, it'll probably be an 8-inch seam width, not the standard 12, just because it's so visible and we're concerned with oil canning. So again, we'll come back for a prelim final with all the details, LRVs, everything required.
Very good. All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 2.
Fine.
1297 East Mountain Drive. Do we have applicant here?
I'm present.
So let me just respond. So come up to the podium. So we had a question regarding item number 3 on the so item number 3 is being bumped to the next meeting because there was a noticing issue for that one. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go back. Item 2, 1297 East Mountain Drive. Give us your names and show us your wares.
Paul Windsor, and I'm one of the architects on the project, working with Tom Meany.
Chris Gilliland, landscape architect.
Tom Meany, remote.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, this is a vacant lot on West Mountain Drive. It's an acre on the downhill side of the property. If you want to flip to the
Before you
survey.
do that, can we zoom in on your FAR there? Just to
Yeah, we're at 110.
110. Okay,
yeah.
Very good. Thanks. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so flip to the survey. So it's a vacant lot surrounded by developed parcels. Like I say, it's on the downhill side. The neighbor to the west is very densely screened. There's a tall house to the south that you can see through that large oak. And the neighbor to the east is a 2-story house, and he's got his driveway that basically bends onto our property. And so there's an access and landscape easement that addresses that condition. The primary view is basically down that long diagonal leg of the property. So we really wanted to set up the house to take advantage of that orientation. And part of the program was to put in a pool and a detached ADU. So using the deep part of the property, we have the house stepping down to the pool, and then down below is the ADU. And you're very conscious of setting the heights of the ADU so that from the main living areas of the house, you're looking over the top of the ridge towards the ocean in that direction. So programmatically, that was kind of setting up the orientation of the house. So one of the advantages of that is it's not parallel to the street. And so in terms of the massing as seen from the street, it's more oblique and diminishes because of that. And to get the house down close to the pool level, we basically started at the low end of the property in terms of elevation, and then brought our driveway down. I think we're like at 17% just to get the house down so we get closer to the pool level. So programmatically, we're kind of starting with that location for the driveway with the intent of pushing the house down, getting close to the pool, and then tucking the ADU all the way down in the corner of the property. Al, do you want to talk them through these photographs?
Yeah, okay, so this is off of obviously East Mountain Drive. You can see the photograph on the bottom right. You can see right now there's an area we've sort of highlighted that it will be the new entryway to the parcel in the middle of the property. There's an existing entryway to the upper right there that actually was used, I believe, during the mud flows. The county was using this parcel actually as a somewhat temporary borrow pit, I believe. But so we will be adding a new driveway through the middle of that existing approximately 6 or 7 foot plaster wall there. And so then you can see on the next photo to the left is a view from that existing road. You can see some of the character of the trees that will be remaining on the left side, the walls on the left side there. And let's see further, let's go up to the middle photo on the right. You're looking towards the wall. And so that's approximately where the driveway will be coming into the property right there. And to the far left, middle, let's see, where is that? That's looking up the property, basically at the corner. And if we look at the upper right corner, that photograph is taken from the sort of the southeast side of the property looking over. And it's a bit of a wide angle shot there. You can see the nice character of those trees up on the right side up against the wall. And on the left side, that is a view looking straight down the property, kind of to the left of the wall where we're going to be entering with the new driveway. Chris, do you want to talk about the character of the property at all? Or?
Sure, I can jump in a little bit. Yeah, so there's, I believe, never been a house on this lot. And there are a number of really lovely old oak trees. And so the design of, location of the house, pool, ADU and all that, we were kind of, it's almost like a Tetris game and moving, shifting back and forth, as you'll see when we get to the site plan, which maybe we can just go to now. But yeah, so we were sort of having to nestle things in here and there and push and pull to minimize the disturbance to those existing oaks and the CRZs. There will be some mitigation. There are 2 oaks that we're proposing to be removed. And then I believe we are working with Duke McPherson, so we'll have an arborist report for you next time. And there are up to 2 or 3 more, I believe, oaks that may be impacted that may also need to be mitigated for. So, but all in all, I think, we were pretty successful with sort of getting all this structure nestled in between all those existing oaks.
Also, like most of the grading we're doing is basically on the high side of the house and the low side of the house. So the east and west, we're really doing very little or no grading at all to basically minimize the impact on those trees.
Right, and we're gonna have to toe in a lot of those footings so as to not, make the grading worse or the impact of those trees. So I don't know if you want to, should we move to the next and go start talking about the structures?
Sure. Oh, and yes, we have talked to the fire department on this one. So, so we're good to go as far as they're concerned. So Chris, why don't you talk us through this plan since this is your sheet?
Okay. So center left, you see where the new driveway comes in. We are 30 feet off of the roadway. We can't really do anything in the right of way, so that just remains dirt, I believe, because of parking for the trailhead that's not far away. And it's a little hard to see where the existing trees are on here, but if we zoomed in, we could. They're all there, just with small yellow circles. But basically, the driveway comes in where the red car is. That's about where the 17% slope is, and then it levels out to the motor court, 3-car garage, guest parking off to the left, trash area off to the left also. And then we're stepping down 2 feet to the house. We originally we wanted that to be level, but the walls were just getting too big over by where the pool was. So we did a lot of pushing and pulling up and down and back and forth. A lot of different iterations on this plan just to make it fit and also not end up with huge walls. So yeah, the garage is actually at, I think it was 622 elevation. The house is 620. And then the pool is down another 4 feet. And then it just keeps descending, keeps descending down to a lawn area and then continues another couple feet down to the ADU. And behind the ADU there in the upper right is where we've had Civil look at this also. That's where our sort of detention basin and all our drainage will end up. And we tried to minimize walls wherever possible. And we're using dry stack sandstone retaining walls, or quote unquote dry stack, up to 3 feet or so, and only using sort of built CMU block or poured concrete walls where needed. So there's a large sort of covered patio out the back door that's where and a fountain, you look over to the pool, and then you could descend down either side. Outdoor kitchen there where you see an arbor. And then chaise lounge area on the upper portion looking sort of southwest. And just sort of circulation around the lower part of the site there too, with gravel paths and probably stone slab steps. And we have our sort of zone 0 shown around, which also sort of doubled as walkways around the house and the ADU. But otherwise, the idea is to kind of go, dry Mediterranean and oak compatible, of course, because there's a lot of oaks in there. So we're water conscious. We've done our WELO calcs, and we're looking looking pretty good there. So I don't know, Tom, if I missed anything or if
What about the mitigation oaks? Where do you have those proposed?
Yeah, so, oh yeah, that's a good point. So within the footprint of the house, you'll see some red text there. I think it says oak to be removed, oak to be removed. And then bottom right is one mitigation oak, and just above the ADU is another. And then we still have plenty of room if we're impacting other oaks where we can add additional mitigation. So we'll see what Duke comes up with for that. And he's close to finishing his report regarding the impact to those oaks.
Another thing to notice, the part of the house that's closest to the side property line, that's probably the most densely planted portion of our perimeter. So, it's so thick there, I'm not even aware of a house being on the other side. So in terms of impact of this structure on the neighbor, I'm not expecting any.
You want to talk about the building now?
So basically, the basic orientation is towards that view. And so you come in through the center of the house. And the center line goes right through the great room, through the center line of the terrace, over the top of the pool. So it should be a really dramatic sight line when you come in through that front door. So the main rooms, it's an open plan with the living, dining, kitchen to the right, a little sun built-in banquette room looking out towards the view. The porch is really going to be wide open. There's a place for some outdoor fireplaces there, pocket doors that open from the inside to the outside. Down below, we've got 2 bedrooms, an elevator because the master's up above, and then over to the right there you see some of the service areas, pantry, laundry, and then attachment to the 3-car garage up a few steps to get to that level. And then going to the top floor, the next sheet. So basically the you want to just go to the next sheet? So basically the orientation is we've got the master bedroom stacked over that center line. So in terms of the big doors and big windows of the master align over that center line view of the entry, and the big folding doors out towards the terrace. So it's a nice organizational connection from first floor to second floor by placing the master bedroom basically on that center line. And to the right-hand side, we've got a bathroom and a big walk-in closet. And to the other side of the master, we've got like a luggage closet and a small little office area for the husband. Then we got our descending stair and elevator core, and then 2 more guest bedrooms over to the left. Our roof plan. Ignore that. So here are the initial elevations from the side, and this is the bottom one, I believe, is the downhill side of the house. I flip to the next. We're looking at basically using Santa Barbara sandstone running bond for the lower portion of the house, a standing seam metal roof, non-reflective for the upper sections, a light colored plaster with a simulated steel window. We'll probably get like a nice 5-inch reveal back into those windows with crisp corners, so it should have a nice clean line to it. I want to flip down again. Okay, keep going.
I believe that was your last slide.
Oh, we have the models in here?
I don't think I saw any models in the plans we had. Did you have models? Did you?
I saw them earlier. Yep.
Are they earlier in the set?
Yeah, they're early in the set, pages 2 and.
Oh, there you go.
There they are. So you want to talk through the orientation of the models, Al?
Sure. Let's see. The one on the upper side there is actually from the middle terrace where the pool is. You can see looking off to the southeast behind the pool there. The wall on East Mountain Drive is off to the left up there. And so this is kind of the middle ground. It's very well screened from the neighbors. That driveway that goes to a number of houses is actually behind that large oak tree on the behind the Chase lounges. You can see that the upper patio is nice and roomy with the master bedroom above that. So that's really where the whole view is coming from there. I guess Chris could talk about the materials, but and then the lower area we have a small lawn area, of course drought tolerant, And that will be, for the kids, it's a small lawn area, very compact, drought tolerant planting around it, and then further down will be the ADU, which we have not added to these 3D views yet.
What about the other views?
Just to go back 1 second, just where that bench is shown, that's actually going to be a fountain, also sort of looking like, little, what would you call those, little weirs, instead of, I think that helps to sort of bring that sort of theme. There's a fountain at the front door. You come through, you got the fountain up at the upper level, and then the pool, and then this last fountain here where that bench is shown currently.
If we go to the next sheet, we can see some proposed views from East Mountain Drive. So the bottom right view will be more realistic. There will be a gate there. And we drop down, I think, as Tom mentioned, about 70% grade. So right past the gate, it'll drop down. And so the house will be about eye level from the street. The second floor will be just slightly above that. And so the shot above that is just kind of showing down in the courtyard. And we've sort of hidden the walls here. So that would be not a realistic view, but the one at the bottom is actually more characteristic. And we'll work obviously on the materials and the colors, but that's the location of the proposed wall and the gate. And then if we look on the upper left, that is where we're going to cut in. We showed that existing photograph in the middle of that wall. That's basically how we're going to approximately enter off of East Mountain Drive. So we'll be a slight dip in the grade, and then the gates, and then drop down to the courtyard down below for the parking.
Yeah, and
It's pretty consistently wooded along the street there, but there's an opening between some oaks that we're basically proposing on pulling in the driveway.
And there is an opportunity. The bottom right kind of shows, that you'd be looking right at the second floor, but there is an opportunity to fit a screening tree in there, so you're not just looking over the gate right to the structure. We're gonna try and screen that as much as we can.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Let's go to questions of the board. Dave, any questions?
Yeah, the grading is 100 cubic yards of cut and fill, so you're proposing to balance on site?
Those numbers aren't correct, but that's the goal is to balance on site.
What are the correct numbers?
Do you have any idea, Chris, on that? Have we done any rough calcs on that?
I think the initial civil plan is close to being finished, but I don't know that we have it quite yet. I know there'll be a big crawl space, I think, and so it seemed like we were pretty well balanced.
But I'm reading those numbers from your application on the project description.
I think that might have been a placeholder.
So that's a placeholder. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're removing 2 oak trees. Is that the extent?
Currently 2 oaks for removal. Yes.
And then for site walls, there'll
be additional
landscape walls that are 3 feet maximum, or is there other walls too?
There are other walls also. Yeah. So we tried to limit anywhere we could. We were using dry stack stone. Wherever we exceeded 3 feet, we had to introduce, like a CMU block wall, stucco wall.
And where are those walls and how high are they?
Well, maybe go to the landscape plan, which maybe is the next sheet. The worst case scenario here, I believe, Tom, refresh my memory. Do we end up around 6 feet where the barbecue is?
I think so. And that's with doing no fill out there because we're trying to preserve the topography around those oaks. So we're really not trying to fill up against those walls. So and because of that, there's a couple of places where they're kind of tall just to preserve the grading underneath the oak trees, basically.
Yeah. So that's the worst case scenario, was right where that little bump out is, where the outdoor kitchen is. And beyond that, they're less than 6 feet, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Rob, questions?
Sure. Did you folks, and your hands may be tied, but one of the things is the driveway, you're kind of coming in, the orientation is that rather than really seeing the front door, you're kind of directed right to the garage doors. Did you
we're really just limited by if you want to zoom in on that street frontage, there are a lot of oaks.
And to add to that, actually, maybe is there an opportunity with the guest parking to slide that to the east where you get like that black car there is away from the garage and maybe stagger it a little bit? I'm just wondering whether you might be able to do something with the slight configuration and, creating a fatter landscape, doing something with a well-placed tree or something like that to take away that direct shot to the garage door.
Yeah, it's all pretty tight. I mean, you see the little yellow dots in there. Those are all oaks, mostly strung along the street frontage kind of. So, I mean, we did everything we could to sort of minimize. I guess we could, potentially, as you move up the page, kind of where Dave's.
Is that wall, the corner of that retaining wall, that new CMU retaining wall, that's still got some room from the setback, right? You got
Yeah.
wiggle room in there?
I don't know, can you scoot down just a little bit, Dave? Thank you. Yeah, I think the setback is the wall is outside the setback.
Yeah, we're not close to the front yard setback.
Yeah, right. But like you said, Rob, we could potentially maybe zigzag that wall at that corner a little bit. But we also have, you can see that's basically a pickup truck, and we can't go any further left, and we need to be able to get in and out of the garages. So it's pretty tight. Yeah.
Okay.
And the trash.
That's basically my question is everything looks so nice that just seeing the garage doors kind of focused when you drive in is something.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Robert, questions?
Remind me, what is the roof material?
Non-reflective standing seam.
Okay, because I feel that's going to be what you're primarily going to see from Mountain
Exactly.
Drive.
Mm-hmm. It's an important choice.
Okay. No more questions.
Okay.
We also have a great opportunity because the orientation of the property is the back side of the roof away from the street is prime for solar panels.
Okay, thank you. Stacy, questions?
Yeah, I'm curious. You are surrounding all of the structures entirely with these large walkways. Did you look at other ways of maybe achieving site access to different portions without the walkway in order to decrease the hardscape?
You're speaking of like the zone 0 sort of 5 foot. I mean, yeah, those are
Surrounding all of the buildings.
yeah, it kind of did double duty. Those are meant to be gravel for the most part, aside from like walking down to the front door. But as you go up and around the house, they're meant to be gravel walkways. So it's a little bit, there's a hierarchy of hardscape. It's not concrete all the way around these things. And, still learning about the zone 0 in that it seems that we're maybe able to plant within zone 0 if given that it's, yeah, exactly, that it's, if it's, succulent, non-flammable plant material. Obviously you can't have bark or anything, but I forget who I was talking to about that saying, but you'll see another project we have coming through that's the direction we took was actually within zone 0, we have succulents planted. So we have that opportunity here as well, I think.
And did you explore other ways of utilizing the site, the relationship between structures, to see if you could decrease sort of the greater impact on the overall, because it is a 1 acre site, but I would say more like 0.8 because you have that easement for the other driveway, just to reduce sort of the impact of the siting of the buildings. I understand wanting to see over the lower structure to an ocean view, but did you explore kind of the site design in such a way to not necessarily impact what looks like almost 80% of the developable site? So it's more left to the natural?
Well, I think, within the development that's shown, which I would say is maybe closer to 50%, everything outside of that is basically left. We're not grading. And so, yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of grading. I mean, to do the
within-
pool and everything.
outside of the structures, there's almost no grading.
To the east and west, we're pretty much untouching. We're not touching the property.
aside from the driveway, but everything
Drive-
outside of where you're
Yeah,
seeing a structure, a wall, we're not grading.
yeah, but from the driveway to the house to the pool to the ADU, that's the core that we're developing. But to the north or east and west, it's pretty much left native.
What would you say the percentages that you've left native versus
I mean, to me,
kind of more graded and built?
Well,
just
we can
glancing
calculate
at
that.
it, yeah, we can calculate. To me,
That's
glancing at it, it looks
interesting.
like 50 to maybe 60, but
Just at a glance, I think it's like maybe 75 to 25 at this point because of the lawn and everything too. That's all graded.
yeah.
But also,
Yeah.
we have so many oaks on the property that's limiting how we can impact. So
Oh,
it's like
absolutely.
Everything had to be kind of squeezed into the middle.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Whole program, really.
All right, those are my questions.
Thank you, Stacy. Tom, questions?
Looking at the ADU, the south elevation on your sheet A,
Can't make comments about the ADU.
I was just asking a question about the drawing.
Oh, okay.
We look at the south elevation of A6.3, it shows the ADU as if the grade is adjacent to the floor. And from your site plan, it looks like it's either 4 or 6 feet lower. So at least it'd be nice to have the elevation show what really exists as opposed to floating in air. And then it would be good to know what the site area is net the neighbor's driveway easement. Is it 8/10 of an acre? Is it somewhere around that?
We are actually in talks with that neighbor about amending that easement. So by the next time we come back, we'll have an answer on exactly how much that takes up of the site.
That it, Tom? Okay, thanks. My questions, could you go to the elevations real quick, Dave? By the way, you told Dave Mendro about the tall wall at the barbecue. So is it tall from the barbecue side or is it tall from the neighbor looking at the barbecue? Are you looking at a 6-foot wall there? Is that what you're saying? From the neighbor looking into the barbecue, or are you looking at a wall?
To the south, you would be. Yeah, it's elevated. It's above.
It's above the grade there. So it's 6 feet and then a guardrail of some sort, or?
Well, it'd be the counter of the, but yeah, there
Yeah,
are guard
so it could be
rails up there.
potentially another 3 feet, so you're 9 feet of
Mhm.
potentially something there on
Absolutely.
that side. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Is there a way to, I mean, you're obviously fighting with the
Yeah, we
oak trees, you've got the
it.
elevations kind of adjustments over there.
Yeah, and again, that's worst case scenario. We when we started, it was we had the house and the motor court at the same elevation, and so it was
Yeah, it was even higher, yeah.
plus. So
Okay.
we've really tried to push things down, and when we'll take another look at it once when talk to Sybil and see
Yeah.
if we can
Yeah.
lower that. If
And you can't grade up to that because you got an oak tree right there or something, right?
directly adjacent.
Several, yeah.
Go to the next exterior elevation. It's the west elevation. So Tom, when I see that west elevation there, is there? It looks like you have like an 11. Do you have 11-foot plate to plate or floor to plate on the upper floor there?
Yeah, I think we're from floor to floor. I think we're at
Yeah. Well, the upper
12.3, I think.
floor plate
Oh,
height.
no,
What's the upper
I
floor?
think we're 10 feet up there.
10. Is there a way that could be reduced because you've got
Yeah.
open volume ceilings up there
Mhm.
potentially, right? Yeah.
I mean, we're
Okay.
definitely gonna be running our mechanical to the attic space up above, but I think if we wanted to bring that down a foot, we could easily do that.
And that side too, which maybe isn't represented here, is you've got a retaining wall kind of along that face of that building. So although I guess it looks like the existing grade sort of drops down there. So does it get even taller feeling as you get toward the left of the page there, I guess, on the upper west elevation?
Yeah, we haven't really looked that closely in terms of how that's going to interface with the building in terms of finished grades, but I think you're correct on that assumption.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's all I had. Okay, so let's go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to talk to this item Number 2, 1297 East Mountain Drive.
Yes.
Oh.
I am Richard Common. I'm the neighbor to the west on 1255 East Mountain Drive. And so my concerns, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all and going through this project with you. We're doing the same thing. My concern is just the mass of the structure. I mean, I think it's 110% of what the recommended size for the house relative to the lot size. I mean, I'm an amateur at this, so if I'm wrong, but that was my reading of the plan, or at least of what was submitted here. And then my concern is where the garage is in the proximity to our property line in terms of what impact that might have. So a couple things that I would like to find out is if we could put story poles up, and is that a possibility to get a sense of the roof lines, how tall they are, what impact they will have. I have an office on my south side of the house, and I look out over the property and beautiful sunrises in the morning. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and so I just want to get a sense of, obviously they have the right to build what they want to build, but just want to get an idea of what impact that will have on that for me, because we don't get sunsets, we get sunrises. And in terms of the impact of the house to the street itself, because we looked at putting a second floor on our house, and we were kind of shot down because it was just too massive in terms of relative to the street. And so I'd just be interested to see how that looks relative to the street, and how they would shield that from as you're passing by on East Mountain Drive. Those are really the biggest things. So the size of the house, story poles to get a sense of how high the roof line is, how it might affect our view out towards the east for sunrises, and then just the proximity to where our kitchen's going to be and our barbecue, where their garage is relative to us. Yeah.
Are you the White House or the red?
Yeah, I'm the
left side there of this.
I'm on the west
pool?
side. Let's see.
Is that where the
Yeah.
pool?
You got a pointer?
Is that the rectangular pool there that we're looking at right there?
Are you right at East Mountain?
Okay.
Oh, that house. Okay.
Yeah.
Up there. Got it. Okay. Well, thank you for your comment. Was that it?
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? David?
No additional speakers.
Okay. Let's.
Oh.
Okay.
Take that back.
All right. Please give us your name.
My name is Jim Bain. We are on the south, we're the south neighbor downhill of the development. We are the one with the basketball court.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Mentioned originally. Good do a presentation. We have concerns about drainage, and you mentioned a little bit about that, because I know the drainage comes, essentially the whole property comes down to this point right here. And I think, if you wouldn't mind elaborating a little bit on that. And then secondly, there's a large oak tree that is somewhere right in here. It's actually recessed below grade. And I was curious what the plans were for that tree as well. And I love the story pole idea, because where the ADU is planned is right here, just right above our house.
Okay. So, well, we're planning to save that tree, just so you know. Yeah.
So gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind, before you leave, if you could fill out a speaker slip and hand it to me, it'd be great before you leave.
They're in the back. There's speaker slips on the counter in the back there. If you would, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay. Can we close public comment, or do we have anybody else online?
No one online.
Okay. All right. We'll close public comment. We'll go back to the board for their comments. Dave Mendro, your comments, please.
Yeah, it's a challenging site, both the configuration of it and also the steepness of it. And from what I can see, I like the design, but there are, obviously concerns. First of all, I think we need to see the story poles where we can comment on the 2 stories and the height. So I'm going to leave that. But in general, I like the style of the architecture. I appreciate the thought that's gone into it at this early level, to balance the grading on site, to minimize the grading and to protect the oak trees. So you're definitely on the right path there. My concerns would be just seeing it with the story poles to make sure the heights are impactful. Because of the relationship to the site and those images you showed us, I'm optimistic about that. But as the neighbor said, it'll be very helpful to see it. And I think it would also be really helpful to have a plan that shows the existing oak trees to show us how you're responding to them. Here, it's really difficult to see that, and I think having those existing trees overlaid on this will really help justify your plan layout. And also, it'll show us what you're preserving, because I think there's a lot of site that you aren't grading because you're preserving those trees. And I would highly recommend doing site sections to show us the relationship of the building to the existing grade, to those trees, to the street. That if we had some site sections, it'd be easier. What you need to do is give us information so we can feel good about everything. But in general, I really like the project with those concerns about the grading and the height being addressed in the next round.
Thank you, Dave. Rob, comments?
I agree in principle with what Dave is saying. What I find with on some of these projects, we have these very talented architects who have great hand drawing skills, and Tom Meany is one of them. And so what I think is somewhat lost in would be so helpful is that some of this concept architecture would take advantage of some of you architects and your great artistic talents, because I don't think it comes through. What kind of rules the day is kind of this stiff AutoCAD drawing. And I think, at the very beginning, when you're trying to sell the project to somebody, I think you lose an opportunity to really get people on board with it, because there's some things that it feels stiff. So for instance, it goes back to a comment I made before up on Mountain Drive, where it's kind of rocky and kind of natural and organic, and we're in some oak woodlands, that I feel like there's more of a chance to kind of on the edges and to be a little more kind of organic and in some of the places. I mean, everything is pretty squared off, and I do appreciate kind of the sophistication of how you've kind of have this axial point and kind of built all the pieces, that and the grading you're dealing with. But I do think there's an opportunity maybe to, like with zone zero, perhaps if those walls were, and this is something you and I actually did talk about recently, Chris, was having some curve, some curves on some of those walls. And again, kind of because you have it on some of the edge, but the core of it is really stiff. And then maybe that's how you can kind of take advantage of the site and make it relate to the site a little bit more. So and then the other thing that kind of caught my eye, and this is something I guess I defer to the architects, is could we go to the elevations, please? Actually, that one, the north, and then so the north, and then the other elevation really caught my eye there too. Was I guess, and this is an architectural question, I guess I leave to the other architects, is that the transition from the two-story element to the one-story seems to be really severe. And so I'm just wondering if there's kind of a way to step that down, a little bit more creatively or whatever. And maybe that's what the architecture is driving it to do. But that's just caught my eye, that the two-story relationship into the one-story seems like it's a little severe. So anyways, but overall, I think you folks have done a nice job, and within that context, perhaps more organic aspects to it may go a long way. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Stacy, comments?
I'm actually in complete agreement with Rob on this one. I think that I appreciate that you are saving as many oaks as you are, and that this site is terribly constrained and the topography is challenging. But I just don't think the style of the architecture is relating to some of the natural features that are really great about this site. And it's kind of in contrast and very stiff and flat compared to kind of the organic qualities also to the massing and its relationship to each other in these forms as well. It's very just sort of harsh, almost like just not gracefully stepping down somehow, that you have the topography to work with and to take advantage of, and perhaps divide the massing up in such a way that it works with the topography. I also think that a lot of the development is being pushed to the absolute like greatest edges that it can with the oak trees, where I think that if you could tighten up the program a bit, maybe have less hardscape, explore that, that it might be more successful and just more in tune with the nature around it, but also too would lessen some impact on the neighbors. That's it.
Thank you, Stacy. Tom, comments?
I'm concerned, I think, about going to 110% FAR on this. It seems like it's too much house squished into too small a building footprint, and I think part of that's because it's being pushed sideways because of the neighbor's driveway easement. So I think the number that we see from the corrected net FAR would be interesting. Also, in your elevations, in a very light line, you show existing grade, but you don't really explain what's happening to the architecture. For example, I think your east and your west elevation labels are switched. The east appears to be west on A 6.1, and it looks like there's an 11-foot variance from what says finished grade is really 11 feet lower than that on your site plan, and you have a retaining wall shown around the oak tree not to exceed 4 feet, so that maybe is 7 feet. But it looks to us like we're going to see 7 more feet of plaster wall that's not really been delineated on that side. And when I go from that corner on your site plan to the ridge, it's 39 feet. And that's going to be very, very tall. So I think story poles are going to be very critical on this to really see what those walls are. And I think the elevations would need to be corrected so that we see where the real finished grade is, and maybe even render in the elevation of the retaining wall at the oak tree. So we see the oak tree, we can see what's really happening from a neighbor's perspective. So I'm not really comfortable with size, bulk, and scale at this point. Then some minor architectural things. I live in the Riven Rock Estate, and there's a number of old original stone buildings in the estate. And that little thin strip of stone on top of a wood beam over a large window like that just doesn't come off as believable. So if there was an alternate way, either a larger mass of a beam or corbels or something to architecturally make it look more believable would be great. So I look forward to a site visit, I think, and story polls.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I agree with the board. I think that the site section's important. Getting kind of a figure of the lay of the land. How is it setting on the ground? What's happening on the sides of this thing? So getting those elevations more accurate would be really, really helpful. For sure, a site visit with story poles, I think, would be important. The two-story elements, I think, are going to be critical. Obviously, those are the things that we're going to see. I don't know if we want to set up what you want to do for story poles, but we should at least have you do the second story elements. You might want to rethink those before you story pole them. Maybe if you're going to drop the plates, and Tom has a good point about mass, bulk, and scale, and the FAR being 110. Of course, we've approved 110 before, but maybe there's a way, and Stacy was kind of alluding to it too, that I don't know if it's the west or the east elevation, I guess, whichever's got the two-story element on it is tall. And it might be close to that neighbor's drive coming around and going onto their property. And it looks pretty tall blank wall there with not a lot of finished, not a lot of undulation. And is it a reduction of square footage to kind of help that? Is it dropping the plate? I don't know. That's going to be something you guys need to look at. But the massing of that second floor, to me, seems to be the part where it's a little heavy. And, I think the ground floor, the architectural style I'm fine with. I think it's just the massing of that second floor that really sort of is driving my concern more than anything else. So I would say let's get story polls. If you want to do it now, great. If you want to adjust things and then come back, so you're not doing story polls more than once, might be a way to accomplish that. Go ahead.
I personally think that the board's comments are such that have this talented team take another crack at trying to do something at least conceptually and kind of take a lot of these comments to heart and see what you can do on there, because I and Stacy made a good point about kind of tightening up some of the programming. I look at, some of the efforts to kind of with having things be symmetrical, then has the inherent nature of, I mean, if we go to the site plan, sometimes you're doubling up on stairways and it's maybe things, if you had a little more organic quality to some of that stuff, where they let the site kind of work with the architecture a little better, that it might be able to pull some things in and start to kind of move towards what everybody's talking about. So my concern is that I think, like, take another crack at it before you guys spend money on story poles, because the design may evolve in a way that you really even like better. So,
Well, we'll leave that to you, I guess,
Yeah,
to
could we
decide.
get maybe some direction on which area, which elements you'd like to see story polled?
Well, I think the two ridges that are the second story would definitely be important. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing the corners of that barbecue at least marked too, like, because it seems like a really tall, no, 9 foot. If anybody else has any other thoughts.
I think that the wall section, even the one-story element is almost, the finished floor is almost 10 feet above existing grade, that we
Yeah.
need to see where those walls are and the tops of those plates. And just looking at that large grade variation, it almost looks like you could build a daylight basement more successfully than a second story. Do a nice, wonderful pavilion main level and have the bedrooms go in a daylight basement. Massing wise, I think it would fit the site a lot better.
It was discussed. But, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, so we'll leave that to you and your planner to decide in terms of, if it makes sense, and Tom, chime in if you want, to sort of rethink it and then come back with that and then story poll, or what do you think?
Well, I definitely think we can look at the heights just out of the gate. That's definitely a consideration we can take a close look at pretty easily. Some of these other things would involve some pretty significant redesign, but I think maybe making the site a little more organic would be something, would soften the way the house sits on the property. So there's definitely some things we can look at.
Yeah, so that, I mean, right now our agendas are fairly open. It's not difficult, like you're waiting in line for months to get on. So, if you wanted to get one more pass before you did story polls, it might save you a little bit of headache. It's up to you, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll let you
When you
guys.
say one more pass with you guys, or making some modifications and then putting up the story polls?
I would say one more pass with us if you, yeah. But again, I'll leave that to you and your planner to decide.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, there's a gamble there, obviously, based on our comments. So.
Mr. Chair, if you could
Yes.
summarize the story poll requests in case they do decide to story poll and before they return
Yeah,
again.
can we go to those elevations, Dave, real quick, and we'll incorporate some with Tom. For sure, the ridge and I guess the plates of the two-story elements, right?
And also, could you do the garage element from our perspective?
And I think, as Tom had mentioned too, and as you were pointing out, that maybe the single story on the garage side there, plate and ridge there too, huh, Tom?
And the single story on it's labeled as east, but I think it's west.
Yeah.
So I would think, frankly, in my opinion, you almost have to do the whole house because it is sitting way out of grade. And that ridge on the top drawing going left to right could seem very tall to the neighbor.
Yeah.
And the two-story portions we know are tall, that it's a lot of house for a pretty tight site. And, I'd really like to see those site sections and at the next go round as well.
So Kimberly, it sounds like almost a complete story pole, really.
That's why I was suggesting a kind of another round with us, a concept, and again, like hand drawn kind of, more concept stuff, and because it sounds like Tom was not in favor of the project as it is. I'm not fully on board with the project yet, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but hate to see you guys, spend all that money on story poles and then not really get there. So
We'll definitely revisit first before we story pole, sounds like.
Yeah, I think it's the relationship it has with the site and the steepness of the slope that is just a little bit deceiving. The drawing there on the top looks like it could fit on a nice shallow lot, but then you see the existing grade and you go, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite steep right there. So rethinking and then
Yeah,
coming back at that point. So
and it would help too on the site sections to have them from the exterior as well. So as we see the exteriors, to really have that section line showing us more of like the foundation, I think that's really exposed.
So here's the options, I guess, to simplify it for Kimberly. Either we complete story poll if you want to go forward with this, making whatever adjustments you feel like in your story poll plan, further drawings, or coming back with another revision. And then we can see whether story polls and whatnot. Might still be needing story polls after that even, but
Most likely.
might be a lot easier. Fewer story polls maybe.
We'll talk to the owner.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
We'll continue that. Item 3 has been continued to March 19th. So we're going to go to our last item, item 4, 1050 Cold Springs Road. Do we have a applicant online?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. And you're Steve Colbert?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Steve
All right,
Bork.
go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
So we're coming back again to take a look at the kitchen terrace here, the roof. The last comments were, if you want to go ahead and flip through to the proposed plan.
Oh, yeah, let me read those real quick for you, Steve. You're here for preliminary and final approval. So restudy columns on proposed terrace, the east and west, and its relationship with lower terrace. Restudy the proportions of and detailing of columns and beams, and depict existing fireplace on west elevation, if it's going to be there, which maybe
Correct.
it's not. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Steve.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so this is all just showing existing, and keep on scrolling down to the proposed patio plan. There we go. So after talking with the owner, and going back and reviewing what we talked about post locations, number of posts, and trying to balance out their location and sizing. Or if talking with the owner, we both felt that what it really did was it created a very heavy massing up top there, and he's putting a lot of value in the view from this terrace. So his thought is to present with as few as posts as possible, and then being driven by engineering as to actually how many posts end up being put in order to avoid doing foundation work, which is going to be extremely costly. So with that being said, starting here, this plan here is just showing what he would prefer to see is just the posts on the corner without any intermediates. Still in talks and working with structural engineer to see if that's even a possibility or not. If you want to flip on down to the next page here is just showing what that would look like with his preference. No columns to match below or any additional columns in between. Just leave that open and not obstruct that view any more than necessary. If you want to continue on to the next elevations, just to see what the side there. And they did confirm that there's a note added there, and the previous fireplace that was shown has been removed, and it has a direct vent gas coming out the side of the stairs there. So there is no chimney chase, there is no pizza oven. It's just a barbecue up there. So you want to flip on to the next page. I have some photos here showing what the view is from the existing terrace, the southwest view. And then the option one is showing what the owner would prefer to see as far as posts. Option two, number 3 on the bottom left, is kind of what we're thinking that the engineer is going to be wanting us to have to do with between 3 and 4, option 2 and 3. So that's kind of just giving you an idea of what it looks like with the posts that we're planning on using that match the other side of the house, and their configuration and layout and what it does to the view. So we're really trying to minimize that mass and how heavy that is up there. If you want to flip down to the next page, keep going. It's the old proposed roof plan. Here's the revised plan showing all those post locations, adding 2 intermediates, which was what was there on the previous submittal. If you want to flip down to the next elevations, I did revise them a little bit to move them, to stack them, to coordinate with one of the posts below. And I know I heard you guys ask about wanting to see what it would look like, maybe matching the architecture from below up above. Again, with reviewing that and talking with the owner, it felt very heavy and not open and airy enough to maintain that view. So the best we could do is stack a post intermediately over one or the other of those columns below. The only 2 options, a place to put it. So it doesn't really, architecturally, it doesn't really, won't balance or equalize in any manner, no matter how many posts I put in there or where I place them. So this is kind of like the coup de grace of what we can present. So that being said, I'd like to ask what you guys think about this current configuration and taking into consideration what the owner has brought up on this, to see if we can move forward with this approval.
Is that it, Stephen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to comments from the board. Rob, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Stacy, questions?
Yeah, David, can you show us the photos of the house from the previous submittal, like the actual photography? I just think it'd help because Tom wasn't here previously. And I think, but you are familiar. Okay.
Not the proposed solution.
Okay, so you're aware. I just don't think the drawings. No. And I'd like just a refresh too. There we go. Yeah. Okay.
That one above was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, that's good, right?
That one right
That
there.
one's
Yeah,
great.
there you
Can we just blow it up a little bit, David? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's really what we're talking about. So there it is. Okay. I don't have questions. I just wanted to take a look at the photo. Thank you.
Tom, any questions? No questions. Robert, questions? It's your microphone there.
So the 3 arches on the bottom left, you're going to have one column stacked on the far right column. Is that right? Or
No, it's the other
that's
side.
around the corner.
Yeah, that's around the corner on the right side.
And that around the corner, those 3 arches there exist.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'll save the rest for comments.
Dave, any questions?
I'm a little confused what you're actually proposing. One of the options is very similar to the second floor on the right-hand side with the 4 columns, and then it looks like you have a couple options in between. Which one are you proposing today?
The one we're proposing is the one to match the column and layout on the deck on the right. In conversations with the engineer, where he's going to require us to have at least 2 posts on each elevation from each corner. So that's going to end up being 6 columns total.
So this elevation we're looking at is the one you're proposing.
So
not
this is the correct proposal. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And is this one chopping off that? Oh, there it is. I see it now. I have to say your drawings are very difficult to read and aren't really helping your case, but that's a comment. But that's my questions.
And I don't think I have any questions either. Okay, let's go to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to make any comment?
No requests.
Okay, we'll close public comment. We'll go back to the board for their comments. Rob, did I start with you?
Where are we at with this project at this point?
Well, he's asking for preliminary and final, but I don't see any details, so I'm not sure that.
Okay, I mean, just graphically, I think simply losing that texture would help the drawings read tremendously. Just leave that white, but I'm going to defer the details of the architecture to the architects on the board. So I'll pass.
Stacy, comments?
I'm going to do the same as Rob on this one. I think it's all architecture. It's your guys's.
Tom, you're the first to talk about it then.
A question would be do you need to cover the entire terrace area? My thought is if you pulled the roof overhang back to the first row of columns, or the first column on the sides, there's a precedent. The George Washington Smith project is called the Johnson House on Sycamore Canyon, has an element on the rear elevation that has a partial coverage with columns, and it's very well proportioned. I think it would tie in well with your other covered porch. If you only covered the first 10 feet or 11 feet or 12 feet or something and left the last half of the outdoor area open with no coverage, then you would have the opportunity for both sun and shade. And I think architecturally it would work a lot better. And again, there's precedent for it. And the detailing, of course, was not stucco over the top of the columns, but it was wood beams. So if it was a wood beam and a correctly proportioned column sitting on a square plinth, I think that could be successful, especially for this historic house.
Thank you, John. Robert, comments?
Tom's idea is a good one, and it is an awkward proportion on the upper left there, and really definitely should be a wood beam. I just don't see it working as plaster for some reason, and either what Tom suggested or I don't know. I mean, I've seen columns right over the center of arches that work okay aesthetically. So, but anyway, it's just awkward still from a design standpoint in my mind.
Dave, comments?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's really hard for us to look at this with these graphics. When I saw the photo of the columns and the roof on the other side that exist, I feel much better about that. Even on this drawing, those columns are more slender and delicate, even though it's a longer span. And then when I look at what you're proposing, it looks heavier and chunkier. I'm not sure how much of that has to do with the graphics, but they do look like they're drawn wider. So I think I could support this direction if you really are matching the other side and the scale and proportion and the more slender feeling columns. I think that on the upper east elevation, the one column doesn't work for me. I think it needs to be two. And maybe if they're slender and more delicate, it doesn't matter if they happen over the other columns below or not, or I don't know, or moving that one column all the way to the wall. But right now, I just we need better drawings to confirm what you're doing and that it's going to match that other one, because right now it looks very heavy-handed and I can't support it without knowing it's going to be better execution.
Thank you, David. Yeah, it is a challenge. The photos, go back to the photo there real quick. To Tom's point, to have 4 columns mid-span of that deck would be difficult. I guess you'd have to divide the deck surface into 2 different spaces too.
The way Smith did it was he had short little walls that came in, and the center bay was wider. So there were two columns, and then there was a little division in the deck.
In the deck itself, yeah.
But I visited both the Johnson House and this one, and the Johnson House was very successful.
Yeah.
It's a very successful solution.
It does break up the deck surface.
Breaks the deck up a little bit, but it was it was
well, and I as I look to the right there, and I think that looks good. Again, not knowing how that was detailed, is that a painted wood?
I think it's plaster, but it's the proportion on the columns are much more slender.
It looks good there, and certainly that would be helpful to have that. I also wonder if, and some might have a different opinion, if this was more of a flat trellis with a solid roof on it, that it felt more like a trellis and less like a solid heavy structure.
Or almost an awning of some sort.
Right, yeah, with lighter frame, timbers, and
I agree. Yeah.
and just you could do a solid roof on it still. We're not trying to redesign it. I guess the question maybe to everybody is, can we see this from anywhere? Is this a historical building?
It's historical and it's very visible as you come up Mountain Drive as it turns towards the Cold Springs trailhead. It's very visible
Right
site.
So it's real open
to the community.
Do we want him to take another pass at this? Certainly the rendering to illustrate it a little more like what is there on the right side. Maybe consider the idea of doing a lighter wood frame trellis with a solid roof. Also, maybe consider the idea of breaking it up into smaller covered component. Maybe part of the deck is covered and part is open. That may not meet your program. But we're not getting a consensus of approval from the group here. So we might need you to try it, take another crack at it. Did we give you enough direction as to what we're trying to tell you here, Stephen?
Yeah. The only thing I keep running into is with the engineering. In order for this current structure as proposed full length all the way out to the end of the terrace, it exceeds being able to use 10% of the existing building for lateral forces against the structure. So he's saying that the columns are going to need to be a
steel frame
steel frame panel, which I can't fit into a less than 14-inch or 16-inch mass. So to get a more slender of a column isn't gonna, I can't do it because then we're going to push us into steel, and then we have to go into new foundation, which opens up a whole different can of worms for this. But
tube steel frame.
Yeah, that might be an argument for doing the trellis look, because it could be lighter and
right. Yeah, you're
more delicate.
Got a lot of weight up there with that tile roof, and if you did a tube steel with a wrap of wood timber, you could then go to wood upper members and probably lighten it up.
Seems like it'd be a nice addition to the whole elevation.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels
Alright.
real
Any
heavy and
Details yet?
we don't have details of any of this yet, no.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
When is,
not ready for final anyway.
okay.
I think he's still trying to get our read
Yeah.
on this and it,
Those are gonna be important, I
yeah,
feel, for whatever they come up with.
yeah. Well,
All right.
I think we've given you some direction anyway, if that is helpful.
Yes. Yeah. I can definitely have something better to work with to go back to owner. I definitely like the idea of cutting the roof back to like that first column location instead of it being completely covered.
Mhm.
I think that would also serve purposes for what else he's looking for. So
Yeah,
yeah,
even if
appreciate
that
those.
element is also a flat trellis
Yes.
construction, inset with a solid roof, you can still make it look like a trellis. So,
Absolutely.
Hand-drawn technique is always at this stage where you're still trying to grapple with trying to find the right design is where you could present a couple of options is worth considering.
yeah, definitely remove the heavy stipple.
All
You
right.
guys want this to come back?
Yeah, we'll have it come back to full board.
Full board you want for,
Preliminary and final again.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right. Thank you, Stephen.
One quick question on that preliminary final. So you're wanting to see like advancement of the plans, details of construction. That means
Yes.
what you're looking
Yeah,
for?
we
Okay.
would want to see any exterior lighting, any colors. If it's going to change, you can say it's matching existing, your details of how your columns are, what they look like essentially. How is it working?
Okay.
What's the fascias and the roof, even rake detail, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Okay.
I think the reality is it comes back one more time, but then the finals could be on consent is where it really
yeah,
is.
absolutely.
Where
Yeah,
you
if we can get kind of to a point where you could come back on consent with your details, that'd be fine too. So I would, focus on the design, come back, get our blessing, and then come back for final on consent. That'd probably be the way to do it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Anybody?
I'll second that.
Okay, I guess I motion to adjourn today's meeting and Stacy seconded it.
gotta go, man.
I put the words in my own mouth.
I know you
Yeah.
did well today.
Okay, all right.
is there everyone in favor of that?
Aye.
Okay, great.
In favor. Okay, motion carried.